A guy took his blonde girlfriend to her first football game. They had great seats, right behind their team's bench. After the game, he asked her, "So, how did you like it?" "Oh, I really liked it," she replied, "especially the tight pants and all those big muscles." Then she frowned. "But I just couldn't understand why they were killing each other over 25 cents. Then finally, her boyfriend asked, "What do you mean?" "Well," she explained, "they flipped a coin, one team got it, and then for the rest of the game, all they kept screaming was, 'Get the quarterback, get the quarterback.'" She shook her head. I'm like, "Hello, it's only 25 cents. On their wedding night, a newlywed bride smiled nervously and said to her husband, "I'm new to all of this. Can you explain it in a way I'll understand?" He laughed softly and replied, "Let's make it simple. We'll call your special place the castle and mine the knight. The knight's job is to visit the castle." The bride nodded, and they shared their first romantic moment together. A few minutes later, she tapped him on the shoulder with a grin. I think the knight has left the castle." He chuckled. "Well, I suppose I'd better send him back in." So they enjoyed another romantic moment. Not long after, she giggled again. "Looks like the knight wandered off once more." Still smiling, he answered. Then back to the castle he goes. After yet another round, she laughed and said, "Your knight escaped again." The husband sighed dramatically, threw his hands in the air, and replied, "Easy there. He's a visitor, not a permanent resident." A farmer is in the middle of plowing his field when his tractor runs out of gas. He needs to get back to the farm, but it's too far for him and his dog, Old Joe, to walk. He wanders out to the road and flags down a sports car. The driver says, "I'll give you a ride, but that dog can't get in my car." The farmer says, "Don't worry, Old Joe will keep up." The driver decides to show off and open up the engine for max speed. Just as he's going into fifth gear, he looks out the window and sees Old Joe right beside him. In amazement, he slams on the brakes, and Old Joe comes to a halt. The driver jumps out, exclaiming, "He's the most incredible dog I've ever seen. Is there something special about that collar he's wearing?" The farmer shakes his head and says, "That's not a collar. That's his asshole. He's not used to stopping that fast." After a night of drinking, two men decide to stop at the local brothel on the way home. After giving them a look over, the madam pulls the girls aside and says, "Put them each in a room with a blow-up doll. They're that drunk they won't notice." After they were done and walking back home, one of the men turns to the other and says, "I think mine was dead." "Dead?" the second replied. "Yeah, she was cold and didn't move or make a sound." The second man then goes, "Well, I think mine was a witch." "What? Why?" The first man replied, "Yeah, a witch. When I bit her ass, she farted in my face and flew out the window." The priest came over Bubba's house and suggested, "Bubba, why don't you become Catholic? That'll solve the problem." So Bubba went through some classes, studied hard, and finally attended Massachusetts. As the priest sprinkled holy water over him, he said, "You were born a Baptist, raised a Baptist, but now you are Catholic." The neighbors were thrilled. Finally, peace. But when Friday night came around, that familiar smell of grilled venison filled the air again. The neighbors were furious. They called the priest, and he rushed over, ready to give Bubba a stern talking to. But when he got to the backyard, he froze. There was Bubba standing by the grill, holding a small bottle of holy water. He carefully sprinkled the meat and said, "You were born a deer, you were raised a deer, but now you are a catfish." An angry wife was complaining about her husband spending all his free time in a bar. So one night, he took her along with him. "What will you have?" he asked. "Oh, I don't know. The same as you, I suppose," she replied as though. The husband ordered a couple of Jack Daniels and threw them down in one shot. His wife watched him, then took a sip from her glass and immediately spat it out. "Yuck, that's terrible," she spluttered. "I don't know how you can drink this stuff." "Well, there you go," cried the husband. "And you think I'm out enjoying myself every night." A lawyer married a woman who had previously divorced 5 husbands. On their wedding night, she told her new husband, "Please be gentle. I'm still a virgin." "What?" said the puzzled groom. "How can that be if you've been married 5 times?" "Well, husband 1 was a sales representative. He kept telling me how great it was going to be. Husband 2 was an engineer. He understood the basic process, but wanted 3 years to research, implement, and design a new state-of-the-art method. Husband 3 was in marketing. Although he had a nice product, he was never sure how to position it. Husband 4 was psychologist. All he ever did was talk about it. Husband 5 was a stamp collector. All he ever did was, "God, I miss him. But now that I've married you, I'm really excited." "Good," said the lawyer. "But why?" "You're a lawyer," she replies. "This time I know I'm going to get screwed." A guy moves into a new apartment in New York and heads to the lobby to put his name on a mailbox. As he's doing so, a stunning young woman steps out of the apartment next to the mailboxes, wearing nothing but a robe. She flashes him a warm smile and strikes up a conversation. As they chat, her robe slowly slips open, revealing that she's wearing absolutely nothing underneath. The poor guy starts sweating bullets, struggling to keep eye contact. After a few minutes, she gently places a hand on his arm and whispers, "Let's go inside. I hear someone coming." Without hesitation, he follows her into the apartment. She closes the door, leans against it, and with a sultry look, lets the robe fall completely open. "Tell me," she purrs, "what would you say is my best feature?" The guy, now a nervous wreck, stammers, clears his throat, and finally blurts out, "Your ears." She looks absolutely baffled. "My ears. Look at these boobs, perky, natural, and no sag. My butt, firm, flawless, 0 cellulite. My skin, perfect, no blemishes. Out of everything, why would you say my ears?" Still flustered, he clears his throat again and mutters, "Because when you said you heard someone coming, that was me." Johnny's granddad gives him a new bicycle for his birthday. This is a very special, highly advanced bicycle. It can do things no other bike can do. "But you must take out for a ride at least every 7 days, or it will injure you," says his granddad. Johnny puts a bicycle in his shed and forgets about it for a week. Then one day, Johnny goes to the shed to take the bike out for a ride. But as he's about to pick it up, the bike jumps on Johnny and beats him up. "Why did you do that?" Johnny asks the bicycle. "Because you haven't taken me out to ride in 7 days," it replies. "But that's why I'm here, to take you for a ride." So Johnny goes to pick up the bike, and again it jumps on him and beats him up. "What the hell?" says Johnny. "Why'd you beat me up again?" "Because you haven't taken me out to ride in 7 days, replies the bicycle. "But that's what I'm about to do. Take you out for a ride," says Johnny to so again. Johnny goes to pick up the bike, and again the bike jumps on him and beats him up. "What the hell, man? Why'd you keep doing that?" asks Johnny. "Because you haven't taken me out to ride in 7 days, replies the bike. It's a vicious cycle. One evening, 2 nuns, Sister Dulce and Sister Andrea, were walking home from the market. It was getting dark, and they still had a long way to go before reaching their convent. After a while, Sister Dulce quietly whispered, "Is it just me, or is that man following us?" Sister Andrea glanced over her shoulder. "I think you're right," she replied. "What do you think he wants?" Sister Dulce asked nervously. Sister Andrea answered, "I don't think it's anything good. We need to do something." After thinking for a moment, Sister Dulce said, "I have an idea. Let's split up. I'll take the road on the left, and you take the road on the right." The 2 nuns went their separate ways. A few minutes later, Sister Dulce reached the convent safely. She paced back and forth outside the entrance, worried about her friend. Finally, she saw Sister Andrea running toward the convent. Relieved, she rushed over and asked, "What happened?" Sister Andrea caught her breath and said, "I started running, and the man chased after me." "Oh, no!" Sister Dulce exclaimed. "Then what happened?" "He caught up to me." Sister Dulce gasped. "What did you do?" "I did the only thing I could think of," Sister Andrea replied. "I lifted up my dress." "And what did he do?" Sister Dulce asked. He dropped his pants. Sister Dulce covered her mouth in shock. And then Sister Andrea smiled and said, "Isn't it obvious? A nun with her dress lifted can run much faster than a man trying to run with his pants down." An old lady has 3 grown-up sons who each bought her a present for her milestone birthday. The first son, who had made it big in life, bought his old mom a beautiful big house. The second son bought his mom a fabulous big car. The third son, knowing his elderly mother was very devout, searched and searched for something appropriate until eventually he came across an extremely rare parrot that could recite the entire Bible and explain all of its prophecies. However, the bird was in Madagascar and, what's more, it was extremely expensive, so after much thought, he decided to sell up his house and car travel and buy the parrot for his dear old mom. Sometime later, the old lady is writing to her 3 sons, "Till the first son," she writes, "Thank you so much for the lovely big house. That was so kind. However, it's really too big for me. I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to sell it and buy a bungalow." To the second son, a similar letter was sent, saying the car was too big and would be exchanged for something smaller. Till the third son, she wrote, "Ah, now you knew what was closest to my heart. Thank you so much for the chicken. It was delicious." One evening, a husband and wife were sitting on the porch, talking about life. After a long silence, the husband smiled and asked, "Honey, if I pass away before you, would you ever get married again?" His wife thought for a moment. "No," she said. "I'd probably just move in with my sister. We'd keep each other company." The husband nodded. "Ah, that's sweet." A minute later, she looked at him and asked, "All right, your turn. If I were the one who passed away, would you get married again?" The husband smiled. "No." She raised an eyebrow. "No. Nope." "So what would you do?" He answered with a straight face. "I'd probably move in with your sister too." For a moment there was complete silence. Then the husband quietly added, "At least one of us should keep her entertained." A husband exclaims to his wife one day, "Your bum is getting really big. It's bigger than the barbecue grill." Later that night in bed, the husband makes some advances towards his wife, who completely brushes him off. "What's wrong?" he asks. She answers, "Do you really think I'm going to fire up this big-ass grill for one little weenie?" A newlywed couple had just moved into their first home. The husband is slouched on the couch, glued to a football game. During commercial break, his wife says, "Honey, can you change the light bulb in the hallway after the game?" He smirks and replies, "Do I look like a damn electrician?" A few days later, she says, "The fridge door is busted. Can you fix it?" He shrugs. "Do I look like a damn appliance repairman?" She tries one more time. "At least fix the broken step by the front door. Someone's going to break their neck." He scoffs. "I'm not a damn carpenter either. What do I look like? Home Depot. I'm going to the pub." A few hours and beers later, guilt kicks in. He stumbles home expecting the house to be in pieces. But surprise! The hallway light is on. The fridge door works. The step is fixed. Shocked, he asks, "How did all this get done?" His wife says, "Well, after you stormed out, I sat outside and cried. A nice young man walked by and asked what was wrong. When I told him, he said he'd fix everything if I either baked him a fancy cake or slept with him." The husband stares at her. "So you baked him a cake?" She looks him dead in the eyes. "Do I look like a damn pastry chef?" Boom. Roasted. A happily married couple had only one major issue in their relationship: the husband's morning routine of farting like a foghorn. Every day, his wife would wake up to thunderous blasts, gasping for air as the noxious fumes made her eyes water. "Please, for the love of all things holy, stop," she begged him daily. "I can't help it," he'd say. "It's totally natural." She warned him, "One day, you're going to blow your guts out." The years rolled by, and so did his morning explosions. Then came Christmas morning. As the wife was preparing the turkey, she stared at the pile of innards, gizzard, liver, neck, and all, and a brilliantly wicked idea struck her. She crept upstairs, where her husband was still snoozing, gently pulled back the covers, and ever so carefully tipped the entire bowl of turkey guts into his underwear before tucking him back in. A while later, the house shook with his usual morning eruption. Only this time, it was followed by a blood-curdling scream. The sound of frantic footsteps pounded toward the bathroom. The wife collapsed on the floor, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. 20 minutes later, the husband emerged, pale as a ghost, in his now blood-streaked underwear. His face was a mask of horror. Trying to keep a straight face, his wife asked, "What happened?" He gulped. "Honey, you were right. All these years you warned me, but I never listened." "What do you mean?" she asked, barely holding together. "Well, it finally happened. I farted my guts out." He shuddered, then added, "But by the grace of God, some Vaseline and 2 fingers, I think I got most of them back in." A man walking along the beach in California was deep in prayer. Suddenly, he said out loud, "God, grant me one wish." The sunny California sky clouded above his head, and in a booming voice, God said, "Because you have tried to be faithful to me in all ways, I will grant you one wish." The man said, "Build a bridge to Hawaii 3,000 miles long, so I can drive there anytime I want." God replied, "Your request is very materialistic. Think of the enormous challenges for that kind of undertaking. The supports and the material required to reach the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the concrete and steel, would take over thousands of miles. I can do it, but it is hard for me to justify your desire for worldly things. Take a little more time and think of another wish, a wish you think would honor and glorify me." The man thought about it for a long time. Finally, he said, "God, I wish I could understand women. I want to know how they feel inside, what they are thinking when they give the silent treatment, why they cry, what they mean when they say nothing, and how I can make a woman truly happy." God replied, "You want 2 or 4 lanes on that bridge?" A wealthy businessman walked into his bedroom and found his longtime butler dusting the furniture. With a stern look, he said, "James, come here for a moment." "Yes, sir." "I want you to take off my shoes." Confused but obedient, James carefully removed the polished shoes. "Now take off my jacket." James did as he was told. And the tie. Off it came. Finally, the businessman folded his arms and said, "Good." James looked nervous. "Have I done something wrong, sir?" The businessman pointed at the pile of clothes and replied, "Yes. If I ever catch you borrowing my outfits again, you're looking for a new job." A lawyer goes shooting and brings down a marvelous pheasant right on Farmer Joe's field. Knowing the law, he goes over to the farmhouse and knocks on the door. Farmer Joe opens it, and the lawyer speaks. "Excuse me, sir, but I'm a lawyer on a shoot, and I happen to brought down a fairly marvelous pheasant over in your field yonder. Being a lawyer, I happen to have attended an extremely prestigious school and am a partner in a large firm. We mostly deal in corporate, you know, but anyway, I wonder if you wouldn't be a decent little chap about it and let me have it. Being a lawyer, I know the law, that I'm to ask the landowner's permission before I retrieve game." Farmer Joe looks over the lawyer's shoulder and sees the pheasant. "Well, it is a pretty nice one. Tell you what, we can play Rochambeau for it. Winner keeps it." The lawyer is taken aback. "Rochambeau? I'm afraid in all my years in prestigious law schools, I'm afraid I never encountered the concept. What are the rules?" "Well," the farmer began, "we each take turns kicking each other to the bollocks. The one who gives up first loses." The lawyer doesn't like the sound of this at all, but he really wants the pheasant. "All right, I'll do it. Air whom goes first." "I kick first 'cause it's my land," says the farmer, simply. The lawyer consents to stand on the porch, legs apart, and braces himself. Farmer Joe takes several steps back, breaks into a run, and then swings his boot full force at the lawyer's crotch. Lifted full off the ground, the lawyer crumples into a yelping, weeping heap and takes a couple of minutes to get his bearings back, sobbing and cursing on the floor, before slowly straining to stand. "Very well," remarks the lawyer. "My turn." "Nah, you can keep the pheasant," replies Farmer Joe and slams the door. An elderly woman brought a baby to the pediatrician for a routine checkup, while the baby's parents were busy at work. The doctor examined the baby, checked his weight, and frowned slightly. "He's a little underweight," the doctor said. Then he looked at the woman. "Is the baby breastfed or bottle-fed?" "Breastfed," she replied confidently. The doctor nodded. "All right, I'd like to do a quick examination. Please step behind the curtain." A few moments later, after a very thorough examination, the doctor looked puzzled. "Well," he said, "that explains it." "What does?" the woman asked. "You don't seem to have any milk." The woman smiled and calmly replied, "Of course not. I'm the baby's grandmother." Then she laughed and added, "But I'm still happy I brought him in." One afternoon, a boy came home from school looking worried. "Dad," he said, "the principal wants to meet you tomorrow." His father frowned. "What happened this time?" "Well, in math class the teacher asked me, 'What's 8 by 6?' I said 48. Then she asked, 'And what's 6 by 8?' His father shrugged. "Well, it's the same thing." "Exactly," the boy said. "That's what I told her." His father nodded. "I'll have a word with her." A little later the boy added, "Oh, and the PE teacher wants to see you too." "Now what?" "He told me to touch my toes, then jump on one foot, then hop on the other. And then he said, 'Now do both feet at once.'" His father laughed. "What did you say?" "I asked, 'Do I look like a kangaroo?'" His dad couldn't help smiling. The PE teacher deserved that. The following day, the boy came home much earlier than usual. His father looked surprised. "What happened?" "I got suspended." "For what?" The principal called me into his office. The math teacher was there, the PE teacher was there, and the music teacher. His father looked confused. "What was the music teacher doing there?" The boy shrugged and replied, "That's exactly what I asked."